This strange man was bathing with tattoos all over his body. When he stepped outside, there was an old man tied up with one arm cut off. This scary-looking man had a name called Malak. He claimed that the old man's fate was now completely in the hands of a man named Langdon. At the same time, Langdon received a mysterious phone call. The person on the phone asked him to find an ancient gate based on the clues and open it. Otherwise, his mentor Solomon would die. Just when Langdon thought he had encountered a psychopath, there was a scream in the museum. A real human hand was placed in the center of the museum. Looking at the mysterious symbols and ring on the hand, Langdon knew that this was the hand of mentor Solomon. This kidnapping was quickly investigated by CIA agent Sato. Langdon was a professor of semiotics at Harvard University, and Solomon was his mentor. Solomon has 3 symbols on his hand: a lantern, a sun, and a key. He studies the mysterious hand throughout history. These 3 symbols are invitations to pass through the gate. It is said that after passing through the gate, a blue light will release the power of the human brain. Following the direction of the finger, the painting on the ceiling means that the mysterious person wants to deify himself. Turning the box over, there are some numbers pointing to the museum. The second underground floor is room 13. Solomon's daughter ran home after knowing that her father was kidnapped. She took the key from a book, just opened the secret door, and found a letter. Suddenly, CIA agent broke into the house and arrested her. At this time, everyone had arrived at room 13 on the second basement floor of the museum. This was Solomon's private area, so the security guard did not have a corresponding key. Langdon easily recognized the key as a tree branch in front of him. This dark, damp room was where Solomon joined the Freemasons. The Latin abbreviation on the wall, when reflected, was a mantra of the society. Explore inside the earth, you will find a black stone. Just as Langdon was thinking about how to decipher the clues in the room, a strange noise suddenly occurred. Because the key was not returned to its proper place, the secret mechanism was activated. However, Langdon still tried to find the secret of the wall by using salt water. Seeing that the wall was moving, the security guard used a table as a barrier. At this point, Sato used all her strength to open a secret cell, taking out a black stone covered with runes. Then the security guard and Sato ran out of the passageway that was about to be crushed. It was Langdon's turn. He was lucky not to be crushed to death. No matter how Langdon deciphered these runes, they were all nonsense. This meant that he also needed to find the stone at the top of the black stone. When he couldn't do anything, the mysterious person called. That person told Langdon that this was just the beginning of the journey. The next step was to find the capstone. Sato ordered her men to use the phone's location to find the person behind it. However, Langdon was not allowed to go to the location for safety reasons. When they arrived, only Solomon's mobile phone was found beneath the sculpture. The inscription hinting at the statue seemed to be the next clue. In the museum, a man appeared and shot the security guard outside. Then he sent a message from the mysterious person asking Langdon to leave immediately to find the portal. Solomon's daughter, Catherine, who was sitting in the police car, discovered Langdon leaving alone and tried to chase him. Catherine showed him the mysterious letter Solomon had left behind. The mysterious person was not arrested. Langdon also disappeared. At this time, the female assistant revealed the truth that Solomon's son, Zachary, had been working for the CIA. He had been arrested in Ankara for illegal trafficking 3 years ago, then beaten to death in a prison riot. So Sato had sent her assistant to Ankara to investigate the connection between the 2 cases. There, Malak was removing the disguise on his skin. He went outside to provoke Solomon. Malak even said that he had killed Solomon's son Zachary in prison. There, Langdon opened the envelope to find the contents of the letter written in Hebrew. He had used a translation app on his phone and discovered that the content had been taken from the Book of Death in the Bible. As the 2 argued and got confused, Catherine received a mysterious text message asking them to throw away their trackable cell phones and push through the crowd of pedestrians to find the lone wolf. By this time, Sato had tracked it to a nearby location. Based on the location, the envelope fell while the 2 were fleeing. After throwing the cell phone into the homeless man's money box, Langdon discovered a wolf painted on a pillar behind the man. There was a catch on the wolf. When he opened it, he went underground. They were greeted by Solomon's old friend Warren. This capital architect knew everything about underground construction. They discussed the keystone in an abandoned circulation room below the Library of Congress. Warren said he didn't know where the boulder was. The black stone and the capstone were placed in 2 locations. No one knew the locations of both hiding places. Catherine then showed Warren Solomon's letter. Warren also said he didn't know about these things. However, Warren had tried to steal the letter while the 2 were resting, but was discovered. Under strong questioning from Langdon and Catherine, he revealed the so-called map. Warren was convinced to reveal that the combination of the black stone and the capstone would reveal the location of the gate, and the Hebrew in the letter was a code, and Solomon was the only one who held the key. Catherine had made it a habit to carry important items with her. Perhaps her father would have done the same. The ring was always on Solomon's hand, attracting attention, but it had been seized by the police as evidence. Langdon immediately thought of the security guard Alfonso, who had been recovering in the hospital after being shot at the museum. After Sato visited Alfonso, Agent Adamu arrived and gave Sato the discarded cell phone and envelope. The next day, Catherine and Langdon pretended to be medical staff and took Alfonso out of patient bed. Then, they convinced him to help them break into the office. With Alfonso's help, they got the ring. Back in the library, Warren told them that the Bible manuscripts which had been incorrectly copied were burned. The manuscripts were flawless, but the one that Solomon had left behind was slightly different from the original. Perhaps this difference was the key to deciphering the code, but when they looked through it, they couldn't figure out which page was fake. After examining the ring, they saw the symbol for pi on it, so everyone circled the 14 letters, but still found them meaningless. Just as the three of them were thinking, Sato followed the clue and found their hideout. Immediately, Langdon received a call and knew that they had been exposed. Catherine and Langdon had to use the old conveyor belt in the library to escape. In that way, the CIA missed the target. Having just escaped from the police, Malak called Langdon to force him to abandon Catherine or find someone else to accompany him. On this side, Solomon woke up from his confinement, smashing the windows and doors. He went to a hallway ahead and saw a bottle of formalin on the table in the room. Inside was a piece of leather with an owl tattoo, and this belonged to his late son Zachary. Later, he also discovered the urn containing his son's ashes. The key in the bottle allowed Solomon to open the closed door. From the basement of his captivity to the open air, he felt like he had seen a ray of hope, but the sedative on him suddenly made him faint. After waking up, Solomon was sitting in the car. Solomon wanted to borrow the driver's phone, but he refused. Suddenly, Solomon saw everything submerged underwater. It turned out that he had never run away from here, but was locked in a glass cabinet. Malak had soaked Solomon in liquid and put his son's knife in his hand. It seemed that this was some kind of magic that made Solomon hallucinate. He witnessed his son being harmed by a mysterious person when he took the oath of Freemasonry, and the knife that killed Solomon's son in the next second was in his hand. It could be seen that he was being tortured physically and mentally. After Langdon and Catherine escaped from the library, they decided to go to Alfonso's house. After Sato discovered that the ring disappeared from the office, she began to suspect that Alfonso was assisting Langdon and someone was specially sent to watch in front of their house. At this time, Langdon told Catherine that Malak had warned him to solve the clue alone, not to bring anyone else with him. But Catherine, in order to save her father, completely ignored Malak's warning. While Langdon was thinking hard but could not decipher these ciphers, Catherine asked her colleague to pretend to celebrate Alfonso's discharge from the hospital to bring a set of medical equipment. This device, combined with Catherine's hypnosis, brought the words amulet, ring, heart of wisdom, servant of the King of Solomon to Langdon's mind. Comparing each one with the Bible text replaced some words in the First Kings. God gave Solomon a heart of wisdom and understanding, but here the writing has been changed. It no longer reads heart of wisdom and understanding, but only wisdom. Therefore, it was believed to be helpful for what was known as the keyword cipher. After arranging them, they got the inscription, Ezra Dove had been buried, and the big surprise was not that the band Buried Ezra was a member of the Freemasons. Ezra Dove died in 1848 and was buried in Oaken Hill Cemetery, so perhaps the stones were buried with him. So Alfonso distracted the watcher at the door so Catherine and Langdon could leave. When they got to the cemetery, they entered Ezra Dove's name and found the location of the urn. The strange thing is that Ezra was not buried. Instead, he was in the cremation depository. The priest checked the investigation records and found that the people who came to find Ezra had called someone. At the ash storage area, Langdon took the urn from the display shelf to check, but there was nothing inside except ashes. At this time, the person sent by the priest had come here. Langdon locked the door to buy himself more time. With the symbols around this area, he began to deduce, but the masked person who was sent had been right outside the door. He started throwing smoke bombs, forcing the two to find a way to escape. These reliefs told the story of Jonas and the whale. Another word for whale is Leviathan. At this time, they realized there was something under the relief in front of them. After opening it, they saw a tunnel and something that was not the tip of the stone. But at this time, they were stopped by an iron door. At this time, the masked person had already entered. After the two of them used all their strength, they successfully opened the door. What they found was an old video. It recorded that after people opened the door, it would give them a supernatural power that could control everything with their will. Both of them were stunned because this movie was enough to prove the legend was true. After the video ended, the video spontaneously burned, leaving only a part of it. At the same time, Warren was captured by Sato. Warren found it strange that Sato was interested in this disappearance. Agent Sato acted with emotion and understood with reason. She finally gained Warren's trust. Because of the incident where Solomon's son was recruited by her but was eventually captured and tragically died in prison, Warren revealed that someone had opened the legendary supernatural door and had the ability to control everything with his thoughts. The Freemasons were established to protect the ancient secrets from being discovered and not falling into the wrong hands. Sato's superior then suggested that Warren be released. Because Sato had gained his trust, he could be used at any time. At this time, Catherine's colleague was playing phone in the cafe. Suddenly, Malak, who had disguised himself, took the opportunity to talk to the colleague. When the colleague went to the bathroom, he entered the phone password he had just seen. Then he saw saw Catherine's message. Then he drugged Catherine's colleague, causing her to faint and put her in the car. He killed her that night. Not long after, Langdon received a warning message. If Langdon's disobedience angered him, he would destroy everyone with the most terrible punishment. Catherine was extremely self-reproachful after learning of her colleague's murder. She had to obediently leave the decryption trip, worried about her father's safety. She returned to her home, where Sato was monitoring her. Sent to Turkey by Agent Sato to investigate the case, the female assistant found the only photo of Malak's back. He and Zachary had been in the same prison. Sato confirmed that Zachary's murder and Solomon's disappearance were both related to this mysterious person. As Catherine wished, Agent Sato brought information about Malak and asked for cooperation. Catherine knew about a CIA remote monitoring program called Stargate. Although the project was later withdrawn, there were other related projects. Catherine wanted to use this method to sense if her father was still alive. Through this, she would cooperate with Sato's work, providing Sato with the letters that her brother Zachary had written to her in prison. Catherine was then taken to meet a man named Ariel, who had the ability to use telepathy to find dead victims. Ariel began a conversation with the spirit about truth and error. Cold, tense, slow down, and dark words kept coming from his mouth. Ariel also kept drawing demonic symbols dancing around. Suddenly, his body shook violently. When he opened his eyes, he said apologize to Catherine. That meant he had felt Solomon, but the feeling had disappeared, so perhaps Solomon was dead. Langdon, seeing the symbol Malak had left behind when he killed Catherine's colleague, immediately thought of something. Film companies often used block sequences as codes on films, but they didn't use three-letter sequences until the 1980s. Langdon concluded that this connection circle shouldn't be here. He immediately thought of the scanner. Sure enough, when he enlarged the film, he read a line of text. There was a 46-year-old architect who built a bridge with bricks as light as air. Langdon immediately realized that this must be a riddle. To solve it, he went to Warren and asked who the architect was. Warren immediately thought of the architect Pi, who designed the Washington Road. He was also a Freemason. After suddenly disappearing from this world, Pi left behind only 3 watches, 3 compasses, 2 books, and 1 map. At that time, this property was worth 46 USD. Looking at the watches, Langdon deduced that they were the coordinates for Capstone. However, they still lacked the longitude. Langdon immediately noticed a map. It was a Masonic square, which symbolized morality, and the compass would be the boundary for them, a very familiar symbol. According to the numbers on the watch, they found the latitude line, and along the compass line was a 10 mark, which was the location of the aquarium in the town of Stafford District. Wigginton was the name of the quarry. That was where Pi bought it. Langdon immediately recognized the top of the stone. Langdon quickly went to the quarry to continue solving the riddle. The riddle also mentioned the construction of a bridge with weightless bricks. He saw a cave in the cliff, so there might be another mystery there. But to get to that cave, he had to climb up this cliff. When Langdon took off his jacket, he suddenly saw a tracking device fall out. Not knowing who was following him, he smashed it. Then he carefully climbed down the cliff. This might be the stupidest decision he had ever made in his life. At the cliff, Langdon thought of a sentence in the riddle. The pursuer would eventually fall. Seeing the cave within reach and his mentor Solomon, he decided to take the risk to continue. After gaining momentum, he successfully jumped to the opposite side. As he entered the cave, Langdon looked at the circular mark on the wall. It was exactly the size of the compass, and a mechanism was activated. The pointer rotated quickly and pointed to the left. A square box popped out of the wall. The object placed in the square box was the top of the stone called the capstone. It also had a hidden secret written on it. The drawing below the box was a new symbol never seen before. On the way back, Langdon was chased and could not jump over the opposite cliff. At this moment, Alfonso suddenly appeared and rescued him in time. It turned out that Alfonso had placed the tracking device and followed Langdon here. On this side, Sato started to study the letters Zachary had left behind. Some of them seemed to refer to a mysterious person. She and Catherine studied them seriously, looking at the drawings left by the spiritual teacher. Suddenly, Catherine saw a familiar symbol. Rummaging through the box, she found the Japanese greeting card that Solomon had drawn himself for his graduation. At this time, the mysterious person, who was the head of the Freemasonry named Jonathan, appeared. He wanted Warren to report on how Langdon's decryption was going and emphasize the protection of ancient secrets from discovery, including riddles that humans could not solve. The subject was always more important than the individual, of course, better than saving Solomon's life. The mask in the drawer showed that Jonathan was the one who had attacked Langdon in the cemetery. Jonathan would do whatever it took to protect the ancient secrets. Here, Malak had awakened Solomon. He asked Solomon to record a video according to the manuscript and send it to Langdon. Otherwise, he would continue to lie in the cold liquid and be tortured. Solomon did not understand. Wouldn't it have been better to torture him while he was still conscious? Why wait until he passed out to torture him? Malak did not explain much, only saying that Solomon would understand later. According to the research, Catherine's colleague had been drugged unconscious by a mysterious person. This type of coma drug was only available to doctors or pharmacists. Alfonso immediately thought about the person who had injured him in the museum before, and his wife was also a pharmacist. Then he glanced thoughtfully at the seal on the box. He saw the inscription 1514 S on the box, but Langdon realized that S was not a date but a person's name. In the 16th century, people's signatures were replaced by symbols. S was a famous artist. He was also a lifelong researcher of ancient mysteries. They found an engraving from 1514. What was drawn in the picture was the failure of man to turn reason into God. The numbers in the mysterious square corresponded to the order of the English letters. The result was the sanctuary of Jehovah. According to Langdon, this was a real God. Then he received a video from Solomon urging him to find the door quickly, otherwise his life would be in danger. When Catherine saw her father's pale face in the video, she was very worried. Regardless, she decided to continue decoding. At this moment, Sato also appeared and suggested that the three of them cooperate. After that, they went to the museum to find S's painting. All they saw was a blank wall. On the wall was a note that the painting was on loan. Sato turned around and immediately realized that they were the target and immediately retreated. As soon as they got out, two people appeared and fought Sato. At the critical moment, Warren appeared with a car and successfully rescued the two. After that, Warren told them that the people just now were also Freemasons. They were using every means to prevent people from finding out the secrets. But in order to save Solomon, Warren violated the rules of the guild. So this was going to be his last appearance. There was not much time left for the three of them to cooperate. Sato's boss was also urging them to quickly retrieve the Blackstone and Capstone. Otherwise, additional manpower would be deployed. But if Malak knew that Sato was also involved, Solomon might have been in danger. After discussing, the three of them came up with a rescue plan. Using the excuse that the clues had been broken, they arranged to meet Malak in exchange for Solomon. At the same time, Alfonso took advantage of the female pharmacist's house when there was no one. He searched the entire house but found no useful clues. At this time, Langdon used Sato's phone to call him to inform them of their latest plan. After hanging up the phone, Alfonso was suddenly knocked out by the female pharmacist. On this side, Sato called Adamu for help. According to legal procedures, this kind of rescue mission had to be reported to the superiors, but Sato knew for sure that the boss would not approve. She really hoped that Adamu would help her out for the sake of their friendship. Finally, he was convinced, and so the rescue operation officially began. Langdon put on his headset and wandered around the square cautiously, waiting for Malak to appear. When Malak called, he asked Langdon to cut off all contact with the CIA. Just like that, Langdon threw away the headset and disappeared from Sato and Catherine's sight. Luckily, they had Adamu following them, and the final meeting place was determined. At the same time, the female pharmacist wanted to inject Alfonso to death, but he suddenly escaped the rope and threw a punch at her face. Then, he threatened her with a gun, told her that everyone needed their own interests. As long as Solomon came back, they would fulfill Malak's request. But the female pharmacist said that Solomon could not come back because he was the tool to help them reach the final step. After saying that, she immediately left this world by herself in front of Alfonso. At this time, Langdon followed the instructions and met Malak. Sato, who was wandering around, received a message. Alfonso informed Sato of everything the female pharmacist had said. After that, Sato and Adamu acted together, controlling Malak's men, forcing them to release Solomon and demanding that they say what the final stage was. After all, Solomon was the tool of the final stage. What did that mean? At this time, a group of police appeared, distracting everyone. As a result, when the gunfire broke out, Langdon was taken hostage by Malak. A police officer even stabbed him violently. Just like that, they escaped successfully. But the sudden appearance of the police group made Sato angry because she thought Adamu had betrayed her. At this time, Langdon was taken to a dark room. Malak told him that this was his last chance to solve all the mysteries. If he did not work hard, he would also lose his life. During the escape, Malak was shot by Adamu. He did not show any pain, but used his skills to push the bullet out. On this side, Sato was discovered by her boss because she had hacked into the National Security Agency's surveillance system. It was the boss who sent reinforcements. This kind of cover-up made the boss angry, so Sato was forced to withdraw from the investigation. She then decided to help Catherine herself. Then Sato found the person in charge of the Freemasons to make a deal. As long as they helped her find the surviving female pharmacist, she would return the Blackstone and Capstone to the association. They could continue to protect the ancient secret. On this side, the surviving female pharmacist was captured by the CIA. The Freemasons pretended to be the CIA to visit her and then injected her with a drug that revealed the truth. After the female pharmacist revealed the mysterious person's alias, she officially died. At the same time, in the laboratory, Catherine was reanalyzing her father's video. After slowing down several times, she saw him speaking backward about the hot spring group in Japanese. This group specializes in manufacturing water tanks, combined with Solomon's gaze as he spoke in the video. Catherine correctly guessed that Solomon had been soaked in the barrel for a long time. At the same time, Jonathan told Sato the mysterious person's alias. His address was quickly found through the order information. Inside the dark room, Langdon continued to solve the mystery. Looking through the sunlight, he saw a circle with flashing words in the stone lid box. It said that everything would be revealed at 33 degrees. Langdon then asked Malak for something to continue solving the code, which was Solomon's help. After the two met, Langdon told him everything. Solving the mystery required the help help of 33rd degree Freemasons, and Solomon met this condition. When he firmly refused, Malak electrocuted Langdon through the handcuffs. This was a warning to Solomon that he could only promise to cooperate in deciphering the code. Langdon then pretended to discover the clue. He wrote on the paper that Solomon was the final tool to open the door to supernatural powers. Now they needed to find a way to escape from here. At the same time, Malak found the final sign. It was a dagger touched by God. Combined with Solomon's blood, everything was ready. Solomon suddenly realized that the ring was made for members of the 33rd degree. When they opened it, they saw a symbol like a seal. Solomon placed it on the bottom of the box, but nothing happened. Thinking of the note that everything would be revealed at 33 degrees, he pressed down and turned it. Soon the box opened, turning into a rose cross, a symbol of the Rosicrucians. Currently, no one knows the true founder of this order. Combining the clues that were solved last time, Langdon found a pseudonym hidden in the Latin anagram. They deduced that Isaac Newton was the real founder. Faced with endless puzzles, clues after clues, Langdon began to panic. Since the whole thing began, it was just one confusing clue after another. Langdon kept coming back to the same question of what was that just now. As a result, the two master and student began to argue over disagreements. Solomon even suggested taking all these things and destroying them because they would not be able to escape from here. Unexpectedly, everything was just a play between the two, because when a henchman entered the room, he was defeated by Solomon. Just like that, the two of them escaped with a victorious smile. But unexpectedly, they were stopped by Malak and another henchman. In the stalemate, Sato also came here. She immediately shot and killed the henchman, but Malak took Langdon's bag and ran away. Sato still wanted to continue chasing, but was stopped by Solomon because Malak had just said that talent could only take them so far. These words made Solomon extremely stunned because Solomon had said the same thing to his son Zachary. At this moment, he realized that Malak was Zachary. Sato did not believe it and chased after him with a policeman. Being cornered, he jumped off the cliff, leaving this world in front of everyone. But he was not dead, but emerged from the water. After escaping the police, he stole a car and fled. However, he was stopped by a group of Freemasons and a fight broke out. As a result, Zachary was captured and imprisoned in a room. Jonathan then reported the incident to Sato and asked her to find black stone and capstone from Zaraki. Sato was quite sad when she saw the person in front of her. She wondered how Zachary, who was recruited by her, became like this. At this time, Zachary revealed that because of working for the CIA and his special interests, when he had been captured and locked up in prison, he had met a person who shared the same beliefs as his father. This person had believed in the ancient secret and discovered his potential. The person named Samyaza had decided to help Zachary tap into his latent power, but first, he needed to teach Zachary some lessons. Samyaza had made the prison guard lose his temper. After receiving an extremely painful punishment, lying on the bed, Zachary had been filled with despair. At this time, Samyaza had used his mystical inner strength to cure Zachary's pain. In this inhuman environment, Samyaza became the only one who had directed Zachary. From then on, Zachary's change had officially began. He followed Samyaza's arrangement, erased the past, and wrote a new future. The burned arm tattoo represented a clear break with the past. He then learned Samyaza's mysterious power. See, Zachary was ready to embark on the next stage of his journey. Samyaza revealed that he was planning to break out of prison, getting Zachary out of here, but Zachary had to give Samyaza something from Solomon. Their conversation was interrupted by the warden when Solomon came to visit. Zachary offered him a deal so he could get out of this prison. Back in the cell, Samyaza found Zachary distracted during his conversation with his father. He thought that Zachary could still be easily controlled by his father and could not control his own destiny. Samyaza initially planned to take Zachary with him to escape through the tunnel during the prison riot, but then brutally beat Zachary. As a result, Zachary was taken out of prison as a corpse. Catherine could not accept the truth. After hearing the news, she broke up with Langdon at that time, but Zachary suddenly woke up in the morgue. Because he used his mysterious power to heal himself, his face was so disfigured that he had to call a plastic surgeon to change his face. From then on, Zachary continued to cultivate himself and explore the ancient secrets. With increasingly dense tattoos on his body, Zachary gradually achieved his goal of erasing the past and writing a new future, transforming into a mysterious person. Sato did not believe that the old Zachary had completely disappeared, but it seemed that things had come to this point and there was no turning back. She told Zachary that if he wanted to live, he just needed to tell her where the black stone and capstone were hidden. Zachary also did not expect that after doing so many things, Sato was still kind and trusted him, not considering him a disgusting bad guy. In a moment of emotion, Zachary actually revealed the hiding place of the black stone and capstone. At the same time, Sato also declared that this time she would not abandon Zachary again. She would come back after finding the item, but at this moment, Zachary's eyes suddenly changed. He had used his strength to force the cables out of his body, preparing to escape. Sato returned home after hearing a strange sound. However, she was soon knocked down by Zachary, and Solomon, after escaping from Zachary, suffered from stress syndrome. He refused to talk to people and had terrifying hallucinations. Catherine and Langdon reconciled and became lovers again. After being brutally attacked, Zachary injured Sato's artery. Fortunately, Fortunately, she received timely help and gradually recovered in the hospital. At this time, the Freemasons found the cell phone left by Zachary. The moment the phone activated the virus, it attacked the entire system of the organization. Everything of the organization was blocked. Jonathan decided to discuss the solution with Solomon. As the two of them talked, the computer displayed the word Cascade. Everyone in the organization was forced to hold an emergency meeting. Cascade was a long-distance audio technology. The Freemasons were in possession of this program. The device could be programmed with secondary frequencies that caused atmospheric vibrations. If the program was used in anti-human weapons, it would be possible to perform crowd control, like against the military. Solomon explained through studying Zachary's notes. It had taken him a long time to organize the handover. The program was supposed to unlock hidden abilities to become immortal. Zachary could wipe out their accounts, not to mention their reputation, but money and reputation could be rebuilt. If the members' identities were exposed, they really couldn't continue to protect the secrets. After a heated discussion, the final vote showed that most people wanted to protect their assets and secrets from being leaked. They agreed to hand over the Cascade program. Only a few voted against it, and Solomon was one of them. In any dispute, protecting one's own interests is always the first choice of most people. In the end, the Freemasons handed over the program to Zachary. In this way, the system virus was removed. At this time, everyone became cautious of Zachary's sneak attacks. Catherine was also worried about her mother, so she went with Langdon to visit her, and Alfonso would stay behind to take care of Solomon. When the mother knew that Zachary was still alive, she was very happy. She even refused everyone's protection. She believed that no matter what Zachary became, he would not hurt his mother. That night, Langdon found the bank statement that the mother had sent to Zachary in the study, so the two of them decided to ask her the truth. It turned out that since Zachary escaped from prison, he had been asking her for money from time to time, but she had never told anyone because she was afraid that the story would be exposed and Zachary would be sent back to prison. Seeing that the mother was trying her best to protect son, Catherine told the truth that Zachary had killed many people and his plot, even cutting off his father Solomon's hand. Although it was very painful to hear this, it was obvious that she could not accept the truth. Moreover, she did not want to go anywhere. The mother revealed that Zachary was on his way here and that she had seen him hiding something in the warehouse the day before. Catherine and Langdon quickly went to search. As expected, they found Blackstone and Capstone. As soon as Zachary arrived at his mother's house, he was confronted by her questions. But this angered him, and he killed his mother with his own hands. The next day, Sato's boss welcomed someone, Samyaza. At the same time, Alfonso was also going to Catherine's mother's house to verify the situation. He happened to see Zachary cremating her. Then he went to the lake to check the emergency connection procedure. The high-frequency sound emitted by the program caused Alfonso's ears to bleed, and he fainted. Through the ongoing emergencies, the ripples on the lake's surface gradually formed a symbol. After waking up, Alfonso found dead fish scattered all over the lake. He immediately called Catherine to say that Zachary was testing the program and they needed to stop using this powerful program. Catherine originally wanted to end this by burning the two stones, but was stopped by Langdon and Solomon. Instead, they solved the mystery together. Catherine combined the clues about the founder of the Rosicrucians, Newton. All mysteries would be revealed at level 33, and she immediately thought of the two stones that needed to be soaked in water at 33 newtons. Soon after, they found an address that was a temple located at 8 Franklin Square. Langdon seemed to have discovered something else under the Blackstone. After that, the three of them planned to prepare to capture Zachary and end it all. That night, a mysterious person broke into the temple. The CIA agents who had been waiting here for a long time quickly took him down. They thought that Zachary had been captured, but when Samyaza was newly recruited by the CIA, he did not feel any mysterious power. This confused them, and they could not find Langdon's group anywhere. Only then did they realize that they had been tricked. After returning to run with Zachary, when taking off the hood, they discovered that this was actually someone else. It turned out that 2 days ago, it was just when everyone discovered the address on the stone. Langdon had discovered a grid-like symbol at the bottom of the Blackstone. Scanning the symbol revealed that it was a combination of astrology and alchemy. The 8x8 grid represented Franklin's 8-square matrix, the secret hidden in the matrix. They mapped the symbols to the numbers in Franklin's 8-square matrix, drawing a picture interpreted as an image of heaven and earth. The holy house was above the visible planets, the moon and the sun. The circle was also a universal symbol of God. The arrow pointing down indicated that it was above earth. The place was filled with modern religious symbols, a pyramid stretching toward heaven, a symbol of lost wisdom, and below it was the winding staircase of the Masonic order. They had to look beyond the allegory to get the exact location. There were 2 blank spaces in the third line, which were either intended symbols or their missing symbols could be Latin. After some investigation, they found that Franklin Square was not the correct address. Then, the three of them went to the temple, which only members of the 33rd degree of the Freemasons could enter. Catherine and Langdon believed that the huge altar in the center must be the correct entrance to the supernatural portal. But Solomon thought it was not that simple. He noticed the symbol of the downward pointing arrow, but according according to Langdon, it was not an arrow, but an upward-pointing sword. So now they needed to find a sword. Solomon immediately thought of the tailor sword that was kept in the display case downstairs, but that was only a replica. The real one was behind the throne. When Taylor's sword was removed, they found two different symbols above. Add the symbols to the matrix in order from the left of the square. All the maps were completed and the final location was found. There was a staircase beneath the pyramid, inside an Egyptian monument 555 feet tall compared to the city. But the appearance of the security guard interrupted the three's deliberations. Solomon went out to stop him, but learned that the government had issued an arrest warrant. When Langdon went outside to investigate, Zachary found him and strangled him. He then walked in front of Catherine. When Langdon woke up, he found Zachary had left a note on his arm. Bring Solomon to the gate. If not, he would kill Catherine. Helpless, he went to see Sato and asked her for advice. He then put on a mask and attacked Solomon's cell with sleeping gas. Then he put on a mask to Solomon and brought him out. The two quickly arrived at the Washington Monument. Meanwhile, Catherine was still expressing her last hope for her younger brother. She wanted to call out Zachary's dear name through family affection, but was brutally strangled. Catherine did not dare to make any more mistakes and followed him to the Washington Monument. Meeting Samyaza on the way, Zachary still held a grudge for being beaten by him in prison. Zachary angrily refused Samyaza's offer of cooperation. It didn't take long before the two of them charged at each other, fighting. After seeing the teacher's tricks, Zachary personally killed Samyaza. Catherine took advantage of the two people's inattention to send a distress message to Alfonso. Not long after, three groups of people arrived at the underground tunnel of the Washington Monument. After Alfonso witnessed the power through Zachary's program, he specially used the headset as a protective device. In order not to implicate Langdon, Solomon locked him in the elevator. Then he pressed the button to bring Langdon back to the ground. Then Solomon found Zachary had arranged the formation to cast the spell. All the necessary personnel and materials were ready. He started some intense procedures. The high frequency was immediately activated. The piercing sound made everyone around him dizzy. The elevator Langdon was on even lost power. Since Zachary was in the center, he was not affected. At this time, Alfonso, wearing the pain-resistant headset, was getting closer and closer. At the same time, Langdon was escaping along the rope from under the elevator. Luckily, he jumped out in time when the entire elevator system fell. Then he discovered the abnormality in the wall and tried to break it. Affected by the resonance, the mysterious symbol gradually appeared under the water. At this time, Zachary said that Solomon was not the final key, but he was. He actually let Solomon kill him. Zachary believed that after death, he would be reborn with a far superior intelligence. At this moment, Langdon came to stop everything. He said that doing this would be of no benefit at all. The ancient wisdom was buried deep in the foundation of the so-called gate. It was actually just a Bible of King James. It was all a myth. Everything was just a metaphor. But at this moment, Zachary still did not believe it and thought that Langdon was just stalling for time. On this side, Alfonso was slowly groping his way to turn off the transmitter. While Zachary was screaming, Alfonso had already folded the box. Immediately, the symbol on the water surface disappeared. When Zachary angrily rushed forward, Catherine had officially stabbed him with a knife. A seemingly inhumane choice, but it was decisive. Perhaps it was the best release for everyone. At the end of the film, Solomon told Langdon that he wondered if it was truly the Bible that held the final answer to such a difficult cipher, because there were some stories in the Bible that also contain hidden codes. Perhaps ancient wisdom was concealed here, and it was never too late to search for it again. So the movie ended here. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos. Bye.